Are you a scaling SaaS founder?
Ready to make the leap from leading a team to leading an organization? Join us each week as we refill your think tank with actionable tips and strategies from great business minds you know and those you don't know yet. This is SaaS Fuel with your host, 5-time entrepreneur, SaaS founder, and globetrotting adventurer, Jeff Maines.
Welcome back to the SaaS Fuel podcast, where election craziness is like a reality TV show finale. Unexpected twists, big personalities, and no one knows how it's going to end. Have you voted yet? Well, I'm your host, Jeff Maines. I help B2B SaaS founders like you grow from traction to scale. Here, growth is more than just numbers. It's about crafting a future-proof company, premium valuation, and leaders who build a business of significance while living epic, adventurous lives. Well, it is election day here in the US, so be sure to vote if you haven't already. I did early. The best part about election day is that we'll finally get back to regular advertising instead of the onslaught of political ads of candidates bashing each other. So the real question is, will we have a result at the end of the night, or will it take a few days or weeks? Then, of course, will we trust the data? How do we know if the data is right in elections? And maybe a little closer to home, how do we know the data is right in our business reports, our dashboards, or in our AI models? Today, we're diving into one of the most critical and, let's be honest, most misunderstood topics in the AI-driven world of business, and that is data trust. Now, we know AI can be a game changer, but let's face it, if your data isn't accurate or consistent, you're not just playing with fire, you're practically dousing the whole place in gasoline. For any founder or CEO looking to steer a data-driven ship, confidence in data accuracy isn't just a nice to have. I mean, it is the foundation of every strategic decision. So we'll unpack the essential pillars of data contracts, transparency, and quality control that separate companies riding the AI wave from those drowning in it. And here's the question. What if the very data feeding your AI was actually leading you astray? How can you be certain you're building a foundation you can trust? So stick around, because today's episode might just change the way you look at every data point in your business. Our expert guest on Thursday was Andy Culligan, a powerhouse CMO who bridges the gap between marketing and sales to drive serious revenue growth for fast-scaling SaaS companies. We explored how to transform high-ticket SaaS strategies, master lean budget marketing, and build scalable structures that convert signups into paying customers. If you're ready to outmaneuver competitors without breaking the bank, you don't want to miss that episode with Andy. Our founder last week was Brian Parks, founder and CEO of Bigfoot Capital, who has helped SaaS companies access $95 million in non-dilutive growth capital for sustainable, autonomous growth. We dug into the advantages of debt financing over equity, how to retain ownership while building enterprise value, and why the growth at all cost mindset needs to shift, and really has in today's market. Yeah, if you're serious about scaling without sacrificing equity, Brian's insights are a must hear. My guest today is Kamal Maheshwari, co-founder of D-Cube and a seasoned data expert with over 28 years of experience at companies like Oracle, Sun Microsystems, and Cloudera. His deep passion for data has driven him to co-create D-Cube, the first unified data trust platform. And today, he'll share invaluable insights on building data trust and navigating the evolving data landscape. Welcome, Kamal Maheshwari. Hey, Kamal, welcome to SaaS Fuel.
Thank you, Jeff. Excited to be here.
Well, I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey. You've been in the data space for nearly 3 decades. And can you share a little bit about what that's been like from Oracle all the way to co-founding D-Cube? You know, what's fueled your passion for data all these years?
Absolutely. Data is such an important and core aspect of everything we do. I mean, personally, you and I, every day going through some data, doing financial planning, whatever it is. Now, you can imagine with companies, they've been doing and using data for so many years. I have been through the journey for, as you said, a very long time. Started at Oracle. That actually set my path to stay in data, to want to know more about it. Oracle has obviously been a name that everybody recognizes, being in database management. So I have been through a lot of data journeys, data ecosystems, even data use cases. so day-to-day decisions are definitely made more with data now than before. But the use cases of AI, ML, these Gen AI that are popping up on the scene certainly put a lot of emphasis on data.
Yes.
And one thing I realized, would love to kind of get your take on it as well, is for all these years that I've been working with data, the one thing that seems to still be a problem is the people don't really trust their data.
True.
Whatever the perspective is, right? I mean, some might say, I don't know where it came from. Some might say, why my dashboard's breaking all the time? All of that. But it's this concept is simple, but of course, we are trying to do something about bringing that trust factor into data.
Without a doubt. And I think that's true. A lot of organizations talk about being data driven, and it's something that they either say they are or they want to be. But then you look at the data, and it could be a dashboard, it could be a report, and they look at it and they go, well, I'm not really sure that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard to make decisions on that. And so maybe data influences a decision, but a lot of times we can even call it a data driven decision. But it's really, we sort of look at the data, but then it's just a gut feel decision.
Yeah, exactly. And even with so much data that we collect, companies are collecting more and more data, which
Right.
means they should be making better decisions. And yet we know that there are plenty of cases where they couldn't control or manage their data and put out wrong press release or wrong numbers, giving wrong advice to their customers. Just simple things that I think we have the knowledge and the technology now to do something about it.
Right. Well, and you've emphasized the importance of establishing data trust. What is data trust? I mean, what does that mean? And then, why is it crucial for organizations today?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? I mean, if you really think about it, even when you talk about trust between, say, you and I, how do we build trust? We engage, we interact, we kind of see and observe what might be happening. Let's say we set up a meeting and you show up on time. That's building trust.
Yes.
Right? With data, ultimately, the people who consume that data, whether these are executives making business decisions, analysts, data scientists, any of these people, even the applications consume data. If they
Sure.
can make their decisions or, take that step that without worrying about something could be wrong with this data, I can go on because I know this goes through lots of checks and balances and I can trust this data. Ultimately, in my opinion, data trust is the holy grail of data.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And we experience that even in our own organization. Data from one system versus another, it should be the same, but it can be different. Sometimes it's a little bit different. Sometimes it can be a lot different.
Yeah.
And wonder, well, which one is right? Is it somewhere in the middle? Do we just guess? Are they both wrong?
Exactly. And without having that level of confidence or that trust, it's hard to know. In fact, if any one of us is going to make a large decision, whether purchasing a house or any of these personal decisions,
Sure.
we have to look at a lot of data. What is the other houses sold for? What is this community? What is the value? All of that. Any of it you get wrong, and then you're finally feeling like, oh man, I overpaid or something happened, right?
Right.
These are simple examples, but at the company level, we're talking multi-million-dollar decisions that happen on a fairly regular basis.
That's exactly right. Well, how does DCube, it's a unified data trust platform. How does DCube, differ from traditional solutions, and what specific challenges does it address?
Yeah, so what we realized, we talked to a lot of data leaders, data community influencers, and people like that. And what we realized is, while it's a problem that has existed for a while, the causes of data distrust really are things like people don't know where their data came from. Can I really trust that source? Is it giving me fresh, accurate data every time I need it? The other aspects are, who else uses it? What type of journey does this data go through? Sort of these pipelines, right? The whole ecosystem. Um,
Sure.
if the pipeline's very complex and a lot of people touch it, there is definitely some challenges and potential for things happening there. And the last thing that we realized is the quality itself of the data. That, hey, if I give you a number or set of numbers in a dashboard, I guarantee, to the extent that, because I'm taking these data sets through a lot of validations, checks and balances, that when you see it, it will always be accurate. It will always be fresh. So it's a multi-axis problem, multi-dimensional problem.
Sure.
And while the pieces of all of these dimensions have been solved in kind of their own silos. So, say for example, discovery of data or cataloging, right? Plenty of people solving that problem, and they've been doing it for many years. Now, of course, some of them just cannot keep up. They became large and legacy, but still, that problem in itself is being solved. Governance: who has access, what are they doing with it, can I trust PII data is not being viewed by anybody, masking, all of that.
Right.
Again, a siloed problem being solved, but no one kind of ties it together in, hey, all this stuff needs to be together, unified in one place to be useful. Same thing, same story goes with the data quality. So, Informatica has been doing quality for 20 years,
Yeah.
right? So, of course, they know a thing or two about the data quality. The problem is, data has changed, the velocity, variety, and the use cases of data have changed. So, the deterministic quality checks that we know of, hey, this value should be between 3 and 5. Yeah, that's easy to do. But what if I don't even know? Sometimes it can be 7. Sometimes it could be 2, right? Somebody
Right.
should be able to tell them that. So the software or the solution may not be able to tell you why it happened, but it should be able to tell you that it happened and where it happened. So that those two things give the teams a much better leg up, handle on where to go and look for these problems and how to ultimately solve them.
I like that. It tells you where, not necessarily the how. There's still some room for interpretation of the how or the why.
Yeah, I think the why
that it
is
happened.
important. Why is important, but also difficult.
It is.
The source didn't give you data, so I can tell you that I didn't get the data from there. So, of course, then whatever else it's driving or feeding is not going to be fresh. But in some
Right.
cases, a value changed from 5 to 15. I may not know why it changed. I can tell you that it changed. I can also tell you where we first detected it. So we try to make it as far upstream as possible. So these types of problems, data issues, can be alerted to proactively. And by connecting the dots of this particular data set impacts certain dashboards and reports, we can now tell the users, oh, by the way, the dashboard that you rely on every day at 9 a.m., we know there is a problem upstream with some data or some feed. Please give us a little bit of time. We're working on it. Imagine how we just flip the entire conversation that happens today. The users find the problem, like, hey, there's something looks wrong. It doesn't look right. and then it flows backwards. Instead, me being the user being told, hey, we already know this, we're working on it, please allow us a little time. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. So it's those kinds of things, simple things that can have very high impact on the way people work, their productivity, and of course the accuracy of the decisions.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, it is kind of the opposite effect. Usually it is the user.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of changes the expectations, because you get the data producers that are doing one thing and the consumers that are using the data and making decisions. But it's really kind of leveling the playing field, and instead of, the data consumers or the users reporting back, hey, this looks weird, then there's some messaging coming that things, they're outliers, and it could be missing data, it could be a lot of different reasons, but just letting them know that it's not a complete picture yet.
Yeah, and as you described, producer and consumer, there is also this new concept coming into this whole data trust equation, is formalizing those expectations. Producer tells you, I'm giving you X amount of data every 15 minutes. I guarantee certain SLA, blah, 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 right? Consumers can say, I use this dashboard every hour. I need this to be accurate. There is certain expectation. And in a concept of data contracts, these expectations can now be formalized. So as the data flows throughout its journey, all the way from source or origination up to the point of consumption, this data contract envelope is now keeping track of what's happening to that data when it combines, merges, filters, all of that, some transformation happening. But ultimately, for the consumer, there is now essentially a agreement contract, right? Now, it's not a legal contract, of course, but data is critical element of modern enterprises. We should be treating it as such. It isn't just collected and out there. It is almost the crown jewels of many enterprises. So treating it that way, giving it the respect, and making teams proactive, responsible, but giving them all the tools to do it with. That's the change in last couple of years.
And what kind of tools are you referring to?
So for example, I mean, I described the three main axes of what should be happening: discovery, the organization, glossary, definition, all of that. The other aspect is user level access and PII data, masking, transformations, and so on. And the last part was quality and observability. And then overall, bring in things like the data contracts so people just know exactly what to expect.
I like it, formalizing the expectations.
Doubt.
Yeah, data contract is a great word for that, because it just everybody understands what the expectations are from both sides.
Exactly.
And so it just brings that trust factor up, which is what we're looking for here.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is no different with data than anything we do. We build trust by observing, by also these formalizing the contracts and stuff. So similar concepts are now coming in and being adopted in the data world.
Well, you mentioned AI in the beginning, and so why is trusted data essential as we move deeper and deeper into AI initiatives? And maybe what risks do companies face if they pursue AI without first ensuring high data quality?
Oh yeah, so we know and see everybody's talking about AI, running after AI. What are we doing with AI? All of that is going on, which is great. But the driver for all of that, imagine, it's data. And what happens so AI is able to now consume lots and lots more data quickly to train models, to make predictions and so on, right?
Right.
One thing that AI has done that may not have been as apparent in the consumption model of dashboards and reports is if there is a deviation in data, it is much amplified in AI outcomes than your dashboard. Dashboard may say some data missing. You can go back to the team and say, okay, yeah, fix it. With AI, you don't know if the outcome you're seeing is correct because it'll generate some prediction, some outcome. It just happens to be based on wrong data. So it's even more critical to now know that the AI outcomes that I'm after or I'm building or creating are driven by reliable, trusted data. It has never been more critical, and I'm so happy after so many years in data. Finally, people are starting to see this amazing use case. They absolutely want to do something with AI and Gen AI, and I think companies are already starting to realize that if their data house is not in order, forget AI, forget anything. I mean, you can't even manage dashboards. You think you can manage AI without good data quality? So I think it's really a great crossroads we're at, especially for people passionate about data. I am so excited. And I think, I mentioned that earlier, because the technology and pieces are available, it's basically now should be brought together as a solution, not as individual silos. Here's my catalog, and here's my quality, and here's my this, that. Bring it all together. I have a problem to solve. Can I trust this data? I give you indications, signals, actually referenceable way to say this data today is more trusted than yesterday. And keep improving that on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's really good. It kind of goes back to one of the most basic principles of IT: garbage in, garbage out.
There you go.
And with AI, we're able to, it amplifies the garbage. So the more stuff we put in there, and it can sort through some of it, maybe sometimes, but the more we put in there, and we don't know that the data is high quality, we don't know that the data is accurate, then that can lead to bad decisions, can lead to bad output. But also, if we're building models, and it can go into that model and it can affect decisions not just today, but months or years down the road.
Oh yeah, you would never know unless somebody trips into or steps on it. So this garbage in, garbage out. Of course, we've been in this business for too long. We know all this. What AI has done is actually even changed it. The garbage in, disaster out. It's no longer simply, I put in some garbage, I got some garbage. No, you get disaster.
Yeah.
The decisions, the outcome the AI systems will create and make will be disastrous. There is no question about it.
Well, a lot of organizations are jumping into AI, and you don't want to be left out, want to be on the cutting edge. And of course, building models and decisions and things like that. But how do we ensure business decisions are based on trustworthy data? And what steps should we all be taking to establish a foundation of data integrity as we move forward with some of these initiatives?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is exactly the question the leaders should be asking. We are being driven and pushed to have something to do with AI outcome, AI-driven culture, and so on and so forth. But are we actually ready? So a simpler question can be, is my data AI ready? Now, that it's a simple statement, but brings in a lot of nuances: the process, the management, the organization. Do I have any way of comparing today versus yesterday? Those types of things. And then validation that, hey, when I use this data, it created good results for us versus this other data. Um, Formalizing the agreements and contracts. So I think it's all of it. But I can tell you, I talk to a lot of leaders on a regular basis. While they understand this problem, it seems they're still slow to allocate resources and attention to this problem. It will not go on for long, because as they start to witness the havoc that the bad data can create in AI outcomes, they are going to have to come back to the table and say, yeah, I did a shortcut because I wanted to run after AI, but we really need to build the foundation properly. It's just like, you can't build a 3-story house without focusing on foundation. It may look nice. It'll probably fall apart in 2 days or 2 months.
Ready to future-proof your company and scale to new heights? Dive into the ultimate resource designed for SaaS founders and C-suite executives. Champion Leadership Group gives you an unfair advantage in scaling up revenue and outwitting competitors. Imagine solving your biggest scaling headaches and hitting 5, 10, 20 million ARR and beyond with ease. We take away the guesswork and the grunt work and replace it with a SaaS Fuel framework by supporting you with our on-demand fractional C-suite team, a powerful operating system built into software, and a thriving community of fellow scaling founders. That's how we make it happen. If you're stuck at your current revenue level, this is your ticket out. Feel like your company is the world's best kept secret? We amplify your success. And hey, if you're already crushing it but too busy to breathe, we got your back. We'll free up 20% of your time in the first month. Now is the time to upgrade from traction to scale. If you're ready to work smarter and not just grind harder, schedule a 10-minute growth brainstorm. It's free, and we'll pinpoint the number one thing blocking revenue. Visit championleadership.com. It's where leaders evolve and companies transform. That foundation's not the fun part, but it's absolutely critical to success.
Exactly. I think a few years back, when data scientist role was the sexiest role, everybody wanted to become data scientist. What they realized quickly is 80% of their time was going in the non-sexy managing and getting the data in the shape and form they needed. Right? I mean, so it's kind of similar if you think about it. AI and Gen AI, great tools, great technology, great possibility of outcomes, but feed it the healthy fuel to get the proper performance and outcome. And that fuel is data.
Yeah. Well, what are some of the most common data quality challenges you've seen in your experience? You've been doing this quite a while. And how do companies address those issues to build a stronger ecosystem?
Yeah. So what I've seen many different ways people go about it. Some early on had no choice but to build their own something, some script based, assign few people to the team. Like, hey, your job is to simply make sure that the data goes from A to B to C, whatever, is always goes through some level of validation. Now, that's a deterministic validation, because people will only be able to validate what they know. And those then were automated via early tools like Informatica. So deterministic checks and validations, very good solutions for that existed for last decade plus. But as I also said, data has been growing at rapid scale. The types of data, the types of use cases, users, the people who want to use the data it's just growing exponentially. And the manual scripting and the deterministic ways will only take you so far. In fact, it will quickly fall apart. So for non-deterministic, things like pattern-based, I didn't get data every 15 minutes that I was expecting. It's not accurate. I only got 100 rows, I was expecting 1,000. Those types of things are very much part of building that trust. Anomaly detection. I don't know what pattern is usually this value or this data follows, but if it's outside of that, somebody should know. It may be that the pattern is changing, and so your algorithm should then learn. Somebody says, yeah, this is the right pattern now. So the algorithm adjusts itself. Saying, okay, now that you told me, I will now not flag it as an anomaly, right? But things like that are what are needed. And of course, the scale is ever changing, ever growing. So automation has to be the key. There are not enough people in this world who want to do this type of tedious work. Data engineers, very scarce and high-priced commodity, or not commodity, high-priced people. They would not want to do the mundane and tedious, repetitive task of writing these scripts again and again and again, just because there are a lot better things to do. In fact, companies should use their talent to unleash them on newer business use cases, right? I mean, there's so much data that people don't even realize what use it could be put to. How do we monetize it? And these people, the data teams, can be a great asset, but they have to be given and invested and focused in the right direction, more towards the business use cases and less towards the how do I keep track and manage my data quality.
Makes sense. Well, you mentioned PII. We deal a lot with HIPAA regulations and PII, PHI. There's a lot of other data privacy regulations, and Europe, GDPR, and that's definitely making its way to the States. We have CCPA. I mean, how does having a data trust platform like theCUBE help organizations maintain compliance and protect sensitive information? And all of the regulations, they're not getting any easier.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
That's true. Actually, you're absolutely right. Plenty of regulations, and different countries will have their own nuances. Very hard to keep track of, but even harder to actually put it in motion manually or via any kind of scripting. It's just not possible. So part of any solution, DCube included, that claims or wants to build that trust in data should look at how can you automate these types of policy decisions, GDPR, PII, CCPA, all of these. So part of DCube, at least as our governance piece, is we define some of these standard policies like GDPR and CCPA out of the box. And then users can define their own. With a no-code experience, you simply configure things of what is important, what needs to happen, and put it in place. The benefit, of course, is as you deploy it or as you enable it, it is now constantly, continuously watching for those policy that needs to be enforced.
Oh, that's really smart. Yeah, automating that is definitely the way to go. It's too difficult to do manually.
Oh yeah, no, nobody can, and it's just with manual. See, so of course there is this concept in AI also called human in the loop.
Yes.
So humans are not going to be taken out. I completely agree and understand and believe in it. But humans don't want to do the tasks that machines can do even better first. Second, there are things that humans need to do that machines aren't quite able to yet. Put our focus, people focus on those tasks. How do I grow my business? New product introduction. What is the demand? How do I prepare for this launch? Whatever it is, right? But let the machines and automation do what can be done, which is I will give you all the right data. You make the decision based on your intelligence, your knowledge, your whatever. So that's where we are today. Now, of course, the AI systems will keep getting smarter and smarter, and I think humans will obviously have a role to play in keeping it uh, somewhat controlled, ethical, and uh, more benevolent than not, right? I mean that's a concern with AI that you probably
Of course.
hear and read a lot. But I think that's the core principle. Let the automation do the things, the tedious, repetitive tasks that humans can do. But anytime you include somebody in a process, and we're talking in this case, in the case of a data trust ecosystem, it's not always just one person; it's many people. More people touching the data with the right intention still have the effect of something will happen, something will change, go wrong, something. And then of course the egos come in. Oh well, if I touched it, there's no way I could have
Right.
made a mistake.
Of
So
course not.
yeah, so I think we are simply bringing that automation, bringing that proactiveness to the data teams and the productivity gains, because they know exactly when something happens and where, and they can quickly go down to why it's happening and how to resolve it.
Makes sense. Well, the thing about AI, I mean, there's a lot of investments or a lot of new companies in AI now. And we talked before, and you talked about not investing in AI without ensuring data quality, and whether that's internal or maybe outside investment. How do you know if you have that data quality, and this is something you should move for, internally, or even looking to invest in companies in the AI space?
Yeah, one interesting thing that came out of all those conversations that we were having, and of course evolving continuously, the solution that we created, is that this prevalence of data marketplaces, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people are finding the monetization of their data via the marketplaces. The concept of, so today, if you use any marketplace, you are completely on your own to determine if this set is better for you or that set is better for you. So two vendors offering something similar, for example, data sets, and there's no chance, no way to know which one should I go with. Only thing you have is some people might have rated it 3, 5, 4 star, whatever, and you're like, okay,
Right.
maybe. Now imagine if we can put a check mark of, hey, this data is 98% trusted based on many factors. All of the things that I described, but also take into consideration that lots of users are using it. So there must be something good about it, right? So that becomes a weighing factor of the trust. Star rating could become a weighing factor. But ultimately, what I'm getting to is a single referenceable metric or way to say this data has higher trust than that. Not because the other vendor or team isn't interested in bringing higher quality data. It's just that they have not gone through all of the checks and balances that this vendor does. So a ultimate exposure of data trust could be in that way of a data trust mark. If you get a green mark or blue mark, then you don't have to think twice before consuming it. Of course, the vendors can also charge a little extra because, well, they give you things that are now much more trusted. You don't have to do your own validations and this and that other. So there is
Right.
an ecosystem to be built. We are not quite there yet, but this idea has been proposed. We are looking into it. We're working with vendors like Snowflake, Databricks, all of these that have the data marketplace to say, something like this should be put in place. Vendors should be asked, allowed to almost brag if they have a trust mark uh, versus others that don't.
Yeah.
That, I think, for the consumers would be the ultimate ease of use for the data trust. Not having to worry about what data they're using and what types of outcomes they can expect.
Yeah. Yeah. Some sort of a quality control, quality rate. I think that's really interesting. We do that with a lot of other products. So why not data?
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
every one of us have a credit score, right? I
Sure.
mean, so most of the decisions, what can I buy and what I can't, are based on that.
Yeah. Well, what have been some of the challenges in building DCube?
So I think we are still a emerging, small, but very innovative, very passionate company. So resources always a crunch.
Of course.
There's so much we want to do, we can do, especially unifying the three core pieces that have existed as siloed products in their own category is challenging, but also very satisfying, because when we show it to the customers, they might be looking at simply a traditional catalog that they know they need, and then when they see all these other things that are also included, and this ultimately will build trust in their data with their consumers, whether they're internal or external, they're delighted. They really want that type of a solution. And so, of course, we are going to continuously evolve and build this. Um, but I think we also want to build a more of an ecosystem, partners, where others should be able to play, especially in this concept of data trust mark. Uh, we cannot do it alone. We have to have partners. So
Sure.
perhaps start with Snowflake, Databricks, the marketplaces first, but everybody should think about and adopt that. Yeah, this is a good idea. Let's do something about it.
What was it like going from big company? You've got big data experience all the way back to Oracle, to then co-founding DCube, and being in a smaller environment, to more agile, and not having access to just crazy resources, and having to be more precise in your mission.
Yeah. No, I think, there, as you would know, there are pros and cons, right? I mean, I loved
Sure.
working at Oracle or starting at Oracle because of a lot of learning resources. Um, Larry Ellison always had that swagger that he's the best and he wants to build the best company. And,
Yep.
this served him well. Oracle's a darling of a brand, very,
Yes.
very much used by, I would say, large parts of the company. Right? I've also spent time at other larger companies. So Sun Micro, when it existed, I spent
Yep.
a number of years there, again in the data space, but Cloudera, more recent example of a big data company that grew rapidly. But there's always aspects of working with a small company. So one is you have to be so creative.
Yes.
because of resources are limited, whether it's people or money or time or whatever, right? I mean, everybody wants this yesterday.
Right.
Especially if you share with them your passion and excitement and ideas, they're like, wow, this makes so much sense. Can I have it? When can I have it? Well, give us some time. So those things are really exciting. I mean, certainly that keeps me going. I have also been part of several smaller companies that provided me the understanding and appreciation of what you may miss out in a larger environment. So I think I'm enjoying the challenges, but the excitement of building DQ here from pretty much from the ground up.
That's great. What's been the greatest challenge that you face? I mean, other than resource constraints.
Yeah,
Just,
resource
yeah.
is always constrained, and resource isn't just money, but also people. Right? Finding the right people who believe in you, who want to take that risk. There's always a risk.
Yes.
We know. I mean, I'm very familiar that large percentage of startups don't make it. They may have a great idea, but something or the other just changes, happens, whatever. So we are lucky enough that we are at a point where we have some dozen or so customers. They find value in it. They're paying for it, and we're constantly having more conversation. The challenge remains. We are still not a name a lot of people recognize.
Sure.
There is also a lot of fuzziness in the space. Because data has existed for so long, people have sort of dug into their ways, their thought process of this is how it should be. Even though everything around them has changed, they still think data quality must be like how Informatica used to do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's those things that are slow. It's not too hard, but it's slow to change. And well, before you even change them, you have to get in front of them. You have to find them. They have to find you. So I think the part of the challenge, and certainly you are helping us in kind of getting the message out, is there are solutions out there now, available, ready to be deployed. Why not give them a chance? Of course, there's always a choice. If you see the value, you adopt it. Otherwise,
Right.
there will always be something else in the market. Our goal for DCube is low TCO, high ROI, and
I like.
of course the whole trust building in data from multi-angle, multi-dimension is something that we are proud to be the first unified platform to do that.
That's great. Well, where can people learn more about you and DCube online?
Yeah, so our website has really fantastic information, dcube.io. I am fairly active on LinkedIn, so I do post very often, very regularly. Always connect with me on LinkedIn. And of course, we can make the email available. Very simple, kamal@dcube.io.
Excellent. We'll make sure and link that in the show notes as well. You post great content on LinkedIn, so everybody should follow and check that out.
Thank you.
Good value there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hope it isn't just. It is coming out of my passion, right? It's not simply that I want a million followers. I don't. But if one or two people can discover us via some of the writings and things that we're doing that can help them with their challenges, I'm going to be so happy.
That's awesome. We'll make sure and link all of that in the show notes. Kamal, I really appreciate you being on the show today. Thanks for being on SaaS Fuel.
Jeff, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We need help from people like you to get the message out. There are solutions available. It's being adopted by customers. check it out. Right, the choice is there.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks again, Kamal, for coming on the show and sharing your insights and resources. You can learn more about Kamal and dcube at dcube.io. As always, all links, highlights, resources, and full show notes are available at saasfuel.com. And be sure to check us out on YouTube as well. Full episodes, video shorts, training, outtakes, lots more over there for you. And thought leaders share. Share this episode with a leader that you know that values client trust the most. Everyone who shares this week gets a Data Trust Magic 8 Ball. Instead of yes or ask again later, it answers with phrases like, seems legit, verify source, did you even check this? Or my personal favorite is, LOL, nope, when the data seems a little sketchy. Hey, it's perfect for those moments when you need a quick reality check on your latest report. Come back on Thursday for our SaaS Fuel Expert Series, where we have Leslie Shreve, productivity expert and founder of Productive Day. She'll be sharing a proven system for increasing efficiency by up to 300% and reclaiming hours in your day. Who doesn't need that, right? If you're curious about the future of workspaces and the co-working boom in today's flexible environment, join us next Tuesday as DeskPass founder and CEO Sam Rosen reveals how he is reshaping remote work culture and balancing supply and demand in the co-working world. Don't miss the insider insights from a pioneer in the flexible workspace movement. And he's done it with a really cool SaaS and a two-sided marketplace. So I will see you next time. And as always, enjoy the journey.
Thanks for listening to SaaS Fuel. Full show notes for each episode, which includes a summary, key takeaways, quotes, and any resources mentioned, are available at saasfuel.com. Be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're enjoying the content and getting value from these episodes, please leave us a rating and review at ratethispodcast.com/SaaSFuel. We'll be sure to read these out on future episodes.